Greetings, everybody. This is your boy David Daniel, and welcome to the Black Evolution, Part 3. We're going to talk about several topics. The most important ones are being proactive, not reactive. We're going to talk about joining organizations like the NAACP. We're going to talk about how we need to get allies, and we're going to talk about how it is important for us to ultimately evolve as a people. So without further ado, let's get into it. So when it comes to the Black evolution and what I'm trying to accomplish, we need to join organizations like the NAACP. The reason why is because I ultimately want us as a people to be proactive, not reactive. For too long, we as a community have been reactive. We have been reactive when people die. We've been reactive when situations happen. We always just follow the trends. This is reactionary behavior. We need to be proactive, meaning we need to put in constant work and join organizations like the NAACP. I myself am a member of that organization. I recently just joined. Now, the reason why I tell you guys to join organizations is because it is important for us to have allies, to have people who will stand up for our cause and to constantly put in the work, showing you that you cannot have a reactionary mindset. You have to have a proactive mindset, meaning you constantly put in the work every day, every night, every month, every year, all the time. You can't just be reactionary, because if you're reactionary, nobody's going to take you seriously and nobody's going to take your movement seriously. So it is important for us, no, it is imperative for us to join organizations like the NAACP, UP Newton Gun Club, etc., to have allies and have a proactionary or pro-reactive mindset. So let me play you guys a clip of the NAACP having a "We're Done Dying" campaign after the death of George Floyd, and how it's going to prove to you that we need to be proactive, not reactive. So let me go ahead and roll the clip.
It's a tough conversation to have about being Black in America. My talk with the Mississippi NAACP showed me that more people want to have the conversation about racial injustice and discrimination. They just need to see more action.
The National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, or NAACP, launched a campaign called "We Are Done Dying." It comes after unarmed 25-year-old Ahmaud Arbery was shot and killed while jogging in a Georgia neighborhood. The outcry across the country forced authorities to investigate the case, charging a father and son 2 months later.
We have to be upfront and honest about these issues and speak to them, because these are experiences African Americans are experiencing, this trauma each and every day.
According to research by Giffords Law, each year more than 36,000 people die from gun violence. Of this number, Black men make 52% of all gun homicides, and unarmed Black civilians are 5 times more likely to be shot and killed by police. Wiggins explains, as a parent to 3 young boys, he's had to groom them about the harsh realities of being a Black man.
There's a context that I have to, as a father, teach them and show them of what it means to be a Black man. How do they have to always be aware of what's going on around them, looking around, seeing what's going on, who's there, what's going on, trying to predict how situations may go.
A Clinton mother is also having this conversation with her 3 boys and community. Michelle Simon posted this to Facebook, calling out neighbors for discriminating and using phrases like thugs from Jackson when referring to Black people in the community. She says there needs to be more conversations about these issues.
It just makes me more aware, and it just reminds me that my post was needed. It reminds me that I have to keep having the talk with my children.
To learn more about the call to action or the case of Ahmaud Arbery, make sure to visit our website at wjtv.com.
Okay, so now that you've seen the clip from the NAACP about how "We're Done Dying" campaign, I want to talk to you guys briefly about being proactive and not reactive. I want to explain to you guys that for us as a people, in order to evolve, in order for the Black evolution to continue, we need to be reactive, we need to be proactive, not reactive. The importance of that is very critical, because for a long time we've been reactive. We've reacted with people dying, we've reacted to George Floyd dying, Breonna Taylor dying, and Ahmaud Arbery dying, but we've never been proactive. What I mean by that, we need to constantly put in the work for our freedom and for our rights. civil as well as human rights. We need to constantly show people that our lives matter, Black lives matter, and things of that nature. And we also need to have allies that look like us and that are for us. We cannot rely on the power structure that is currently in place, because I'm going to tell you that they are not really going to help us. We need to have allies that look like us and that are going to truly help us and benefit us, like the NAACP, the Black Panther Party, whatever organization that you are attached to. Now, let me quote from you Marcus Garvey, 100 plus years ago, what he had to say about Negroes under alien governments, particularly meaning foreign governments, and how they're not going to help us and how we need to help ourselves. And then I'm going to, afterwards, show you a clip of Malcolm X telling us how we need to have allies. So let me quote from Marcus Garvey, what he said 100 plus years ago about how we need to have, evolve as a people, and how we need to be proactive, not reactive, in terms of governments and in terms of having them, help us. So he states this in this image that you're about to see. Within modern times, the Negro race has not had any real statesmen, and the masses of our people have always accepted the intentions and actions of the statesmen and leaders of other races as being directed in our interest as a group in conjunction with the interests of others. Such a feeling on our part caused us to believe that the Constitution of the United States was written for Negroes, as well as the constitutions of England, France, Italy, and Germany, and other countries where Negroes happen to have the present domicile, whether as citizens or as subjects. That we suffer so much today under whatsoever flag we live is proof positive that constitutions and laws, when framed by the early advocates of human liberty, never included and were never intended for us as a people. It is only a question of sheer accident that we happen to be fellow citizens today and the descendants of those who, through their advocacy, descendants laid the foundation of human rights. So this brings us to the point where, as a people, we can expect very little from their efforts of present-day statesmen of other races, and that in their plans, as far as advantages be derived from their form are concerned, are laid only in the interest of their own people and not in the interest of Negroes. Hence, it is imperative for Negroes as a people to evolve just at this time. A statesmanship is sufficiently able to cope with the designs and movements that are being made that will, except we prevent it, ultimately mean our doom and destruction. So that was from Marcus Garvey 100 years ago, exactly 100 years ago in 1920, telling us that we need to have our own allies and that we cannot rely upon other people to help us. Why? Because as he said in that quote, that the Negro community was never included, nor was it intended for us to be benefits of the government that was put in place by the early advocates, basically the founding fathers of America, that it was by sheer accident that we benefited from the Constitution and from the Bill of Rights and all these laws, and that we need to evolve as a people. I can't stress it enough that we need to evolve as a people and get better and have allies that look like us. So with that being said, I want to stress this message to you guys that we need to be proactive, not reactive, and that the Black evolution is all about having us evolve as a people, have organizations, join organizations like the NAACP, the New Black Panther Party, and other organizations, whatever organization that you want to get involved in, because this is real life. We need to constantly evolve as a people, constantly get better. So after this, I'm going to show a clip of Malcolm X telling us that we need to evolve as a people and that we must be able to have organizations that look like us and have allies that look like us by any means necessary. This is where we get the quote "by any means necessary" from. And afterwards, I'm going to conclude this podcast and tell you guys to be proactive, not reactive. So let me go ahead and roll the clip.
Assalamu alaikum. 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 Ass Mr. Moderator, our distinguished guests, brothers and sisters, our friends and our enemies. Everybody is here. As many of you know, last March, when it was announced that I was no longer in the Black Muslim movement, it was pointed out that it was my intention to work among the 22 million non-Muslim Afro-Americans and to try and form some type of organization or create a situation where the young people, our young people, the students and others, could study the problems of our people for a period of time and then come up with a new analysis and give us some new ideas and some new suggestions as to how to approach a problem that too many other people had been playing around with for too long. And that we would have some kind of meeting and determine at a later date whether to form a black nationalist party or a black nationalist army. There have been many of our people across the country from all walks of life who have taken it upon themselves to try and pool their ideas and to come up with some kind of solution to the problem that confronts all of our people. And tonight we are here to try and get an understanding of what it is they've come up with. Also, recently, when I was blessed to make a trip or a pilgrimage, a religious pilgrimage to the holy city of Mecca, where I met many people from all over the world, plus spent many weeks in Africa, trying to broaden my own scope and get more of an open mind to look at the problem as it actually is. One of the things that I realized, and I realized this even before going over there, was that our African brothers have gained their independence faster than you and I here in America have. They've also gained recognition and respect as human beings much faster than you and I. Just 10 years ago on the African continent, our people were colonized. They were suffering all forms of colonization, oppression, exploitation, degradation, humiliation, discrimination, and every other kind of Asian. And in a short time, they have gained more independence, more recognition, more respect as human beings than you and I have. And you and I live in a country which is supposed to be the citadel of education, freedom, justice, democracy, and all of those other pretty sounding words. So it was our intention to try and find out what was our African brothers doing to get results so that you and I could study what they had done and perhaps gain from that study or benefit from their experiences. And my traveling over there was designed to help to find out how. One of the first things that the independent African nations did was to form an organization called the Organization of African Unity. The purpose of our Organization of Afro-American Unity, which has the same aim and objective, to fight whoever gets in our way. To bring about the complete independence of people of African descent here in the Western Hemisphere and first here in the United States, and bring about the freedom of these people by any means necessary. That's our motto. The purpose of our organization is to start right here in Harlem, which has the largest concentration of people of African descent that exists anywhere on this earth. There are more Africans here in Harlem than exist in any city on the African continent, because that's what you and I are, Africans. The Charter of the United Nations, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, the Constitution of the United States, and the Bill of Rights are the principles in which we believe, and that these documents if put into practice, represent the essence of mankind's hopes and good intentions, desirous that all Afro-American people and organizations should henceforth unite so that the welfare and well-being of our people will be assured, we are resolved to reinforce the common bond of purpose between our people by submerging all of our differences and establishing non-sectarian constructive programs for human rights. We hereby present this charter. Number one, the establishment. The Organization of Afro-American Unity shall include all people of African descent in the Western Hemisphere. In essence, what it is saying, instead of you and me running around here seeking allies in our struggle for freedom, in the Irish neighborhood or the Jewish neighborhood or the Italian neighborhood, we need to seek some allies among people who look something like we do. And once we get their allies, it's time out for you and me to stop running away from the wolf right into the arms of the fox, looking for some kind of help. That's a drag. Number two, self-defense. Since self-preservation is the first law of nature, we assert the Afro-American's right to self-defense. The Constitution of the United States of America clearly affirms the right of every American citizen to bear arms. And as Americans, we will not give up a single right guaranteed under the Constitution. The history of unpunished violence against our people clearly indicates that we must be prepared to defend ourselves, or we will continue to be a defenseless people at the mercy of a ruthless and violent racist mob.
Okay, now that you've seen the clip of Malcolm X telling us that we need to have organizations and we need to have allies that look like us by any means necessary, I want to conclude this message to you guys about being proactive, not reactive. Now, I can't stress this enough. We have done good things in terms of protesting and in terms of getting the message involved. But we cannot, as a people, be reactive anymore. We must be proactive. Let me say it again. We must be proactive. We've got to join organizations like the NAACP, the New Black Panther Party, and other organizations such as that, or whatever organization that you would like to join. Because this system of white supremacy, you're not really going to have allies that are going to help you. You need to join organizations that have allies that look like us as a people, and that understand our struggle and understand our pain and understand our anger and our fury and our frustration. This is a problem in our community, that we are reactive, not proactive. Proactive means you're constantly going to put in the work. You're constantly going to put in discipline. This is a constant effort. This is a constant work. We're going to have to put this effort in year after year after year after year until we get change, until we get the results done. I can't stress this enough, that we need to evolve as a people. We need to get better. We need to do things that are better and that are more consistent. What's the old school way of saying that? It's a definition of insanity is that the old way of doing things over and over again and expecting different results is insanity. Well, that's what we're doing as a people. We're constantly doing the same thing over and over again. Somebody dies, we protest, we get mad, nothing happens. Somebody dies, we protest, we get mad, nothing happens. The cycle continues on and on and on. Well, no more, Black people. We need to get involved, join organizations, protest, continue to protest, but we can't be reactive. We got to be proactive. So this is my final message to you guys in terms of being proactive, not reactive. Get involved, join organizations. Join organizations like the NAACP. Join organizations like the New Black Panther Party or the Huey P. Newton Gun Club or whatever organization that you are a part of. Be proactive. This is constant work. This is constant work in terms of our struggle. We need to evolve as a people because, like Marcus Garvey said in that quote, We're not really going to have organizations that are going to help us, outside of Black people. That the government never fully intended for us to be equal and for us to have equal rights under the Constitution of the United States. And it is mere by sheer accident that we have inherited those rights. This is him speaking 100 plus years ago, and his words ring true today as they did back then. So this concludes the message of the Davin Daniel podcast of the Black Evolution, Part 3, being proactive, not reactive. And now I just want to impart this message to you. Be proactive, not reactive, because the system of white supremacy is about power and control. Power, money, and control. And if we don't evolve as a people, then it will lead to our destruction and our doom, per the words of Marcus Garvey. So listen to this outro music, and this concludes Davin Daniel podcast of being proactive, not reactive.